So what's going on, Trucketeers? It's the Truck Guy here. Wanted to get back to you with another review, and today we're reviewing the Knipex utility knife, model number 9010165. I just picked this up on Amazon for $28.78, so it's definitely going to set you back a little bit, and it might set you back quite a bit, given that it's almost hitting that $30 mark. This may be the most expensive utility knife we've reviewed on the Truck Guy channel, but it's also one that I've really wanted to review for quite a while, and I think it's got some unique features as well. So I'm very excited to check it out. In terms of the utility knife, it's from Knipex. They're a German company. And this kind of looks like the main utility knife that they have out there. I didn't see any other ones in kind of that utility knife arena. They had a couple other knives, but not utility knives with an interchangeable blade. So definitely something that seems unique for Knipex as well as for the industry in and of itself. So taking a look at the packaging, kind of one of the interesting features that we'll get into is the stabilization bar, and that's really kind of the main feature of the knife. They get into it on the back a little bit about the stabilization bar, as well as the magnesium housing, the locking blade, and kind of a few other minor features. But it's pretty straightforward in terms of the packaging. So let's go ahead and get it out of the packaging and see what we think. We'll set the packaging aside. And right out of the gates, that magnesium housing is extremely light, but it's not overly light, if that makes sense. So it definitely feels good in the hand. It feels robust. It's definitely on the slightly larger side, but not too large. So it's definitely checking a lot of boxes in terms of, not being too much of something and not enough of another thing. So I'm definitely liking that from Knipex. One of kind of the interesting features is it's got a lip right here on the top and bottom to prevent your hand from sliding up too far. I don't know if I'm the biggest fan of that, because it can kind of work against you if you need to, choke up a little further on the knife. But I don't think it's, a huge downfall either. It's just not exactly lining up with, my index finger and my thumb. It's just a little awkward there. So that's maybe one disadvantage to the design, but again, not, a huge detractor, and some folks may like it more than others. Coming back to that magnesium housing, I do like the feel of it. One thing they point out is, it's got the lightness of plastic with kind of the durability of aluminum. So, you do have that metal feel, but you've also got some of that lightness of the plastic. I think this is going to hold up really well over time. So I kind of like that magnesium and the combination that it's giving in terms of lightweight yet durable. I really think, based on how this feels, it's going to hold up pretty good over time. So definitely liking that from Knipex. I think it also just looks cool, the red and blue. Definitely liking just kind of the overall design of it. Seems pretty cool from Knipex. So in terms of the blade, you've got the blade that can be extended with the slider, and that is definitely a fun slider. It really, rockets up to, full extension if you need that much blade. And overall, it just feels good. One of the cool things about the blade is it does auto lock, so it's not going to fly back on you. So definitely liking that feature from Knipex as well. But really kind of the big selling point is, if you have this blade fully extended, you're definitely going to get some wiggle and wobble. With the blade, if you're cutting something where you need the full blade extended, you're definitely going to run into some issues where your blade's kind of going all over the place. So what they've added is a stabilization bar. I've never seen this before, and it's actually a really cool feature. So it comes out on the back of the knife, or the blade for that matter, and provide some stabilization for that blade, so you don't really get any wiggle or wobble, and whatever you're cutting through, you're going to have, that stabilization of the blade. You can also use it to put your thumb on it, put your finger down, and have it protected so that you can apply some force to the top of the blade if you've got some larger projects that you've got underway. And actually that stabilization bar comes out even farther than the blade itself, which I kind of find a bit interesting, but I guess, you know, for that added stabilization, maybe that helps. So kind of a little bit funky there that it, you know, overextends the blade, but, you know, maybe there's a little bit of added stability that the engineers were thinking of when they made this, or it's just kind of a fluke thing. I'm not really sure. But you can also, you know, give it some stabilization or more stabilization. So pretty cool feature there from Knipex. I definitely see that coming in handy, you know, when you're cutting up things or doing more precise jobs where you just need that little bit of, you know, extension and stabilization. So I've never seen anything like that, so pretty cool. In terms of the actual blade itself, you can extend that, and when you want to change your blade, you just push the blue button on the back, and that actually acts as your quick change for your blade. So in terms of blade length, it's a pretty good sized blade. Obviously you can snap it off as well to get, you know, a new clean edge. Depending on how much of the blade you're using, you may need, you know, to pop in a new blade, or you might be good with just kind of clipping the blades off as you go. So in terms of getting your next blade out, you can go ahead and pull the blue tab on the back, and that gives you access to 2 additional blades that can fit in here. And what you do is you just grab one out, can slide your blade storage holder back in, and then to get the new blade in, all you do is press that button again, which is really just your quick change button. Slide the blade back in. See if we can get it. I think it's actually a little bit easier if you extend your stabilization bar out a little bit, just to kind of line things up. And we'll see if we can get it here. A little bit harder than I'd prefer. So I did eventually get it there. It's not the easiest quick change in the world. Part of the reason is with this button, it's just, you're really not depressing it much. You're just pushing over that mechanism just slightly. So it's just really hard to tell whether it's fully engaged or not. So we can give it one more shot just to kind of see how it works. So move it up to full extension, press the blade, and then basically what you've got to do is just hold that blue button down and just wiggle this. Well, actually don't hold it down. I think that's a little easier. Once you have it partially engaged, then hold it down, and we'll see if we can get this in here. Let's see if that's the trick, if holding the blue button from the top as well as the bottom is the trick. Okay, so that may be the trick to getting your blade back in, is actually hold the button on the top as well as the back, and it's going to go in a lot easier. So again, you know, not the easiest quick change that I've ever seen. It's just kind of hard to tell when that's engaged or not, or kind of where you're at with the new blade and getting it locked in to the knife. So that could be one area of improvement for Knipex. Certainly for a $30 knife, you just expect everything to work perfectly. And in this case, you know, it's probably not a perfect quick change mechanism. And to be honest, I haven't seen a perfect quick change mechanism for these types of knives. We'll go ahead and get the 2 blades back in here. So for these types of knives, which I would designate as snap-off knives, you know, I've never seen the perfect quick change mechanism. If you look at something like the Olfa, what they traditionally use is just a mechanism to back out the blade and then change it and pop it back in. To be honest, that may be a little bit easier. So definitely a nice feature of the Olfa. But when it comes down to it, I think I prefer the look and feel of the Knipex as compared to the Olfa, because that spine or that stabilization bar is really what takes this over the top. I mean, that's just an awesome feature. And at the end of the day, you're going to start getting used to, you know, this quick change up top. And once you do, I think you're really going to end up liking this knife, and you're going to get more comfortable with it. I'm already more comfortable with it just after a couple minutes. So overall, I'm starting to warm up to that a lot, and it's kind of nice not to goof around with having to back this out, and you've got the blade exposed, this, that, and the other. You're trying to get it back in. Obviously, this isn't that complicated, but you know, some folks may actually just prefer the Knipex because you've got the quick change up top, you've got the blade storage, and, you know, you've got the stabilization bar. So that kind of, you know, when you look at those together, it's just a lot more than what you see on the Olfa. So I'm definitely liking that a lot from Knipex. In terms of other features, there's not a whole lot else going on. You've got a big, nice lanyard loop, so I'm definitely liking that. I like that it's on the bottom. It's kind of away from the different mechanism that's working there, as opposed to on the Olfa, you know, you're gonna come right across your lanyard loop. It's just gonna be a pain in the butt. So I actually think this might be one of the best snap-off knives and snap-off utility knives that I've reviewed. So what are we looking at in terms of cons to this knife? I think it's just, you know, the body style. And I like the body style. I might just get rid of these lips. I guess I'm just not loving the way they kind of feel in the hand. And, you know, feeling in the hand is really the most important thing about a utility knife. But that's not to say that it's not a good design. You know, I'm definitely liking it to a certain extent. It's just, you know, especially that kind of lip at the bottom just seems a little unnecessary. It kind of keeps your hand farther back on the knife, or, you know, you can choke up a little bit, but then you're almost a little too high. So it's just kind of an odd dynamic that's going on here on the kind of the front end design of the Knipex. For design overall, I might choose the Olfa just because it's got some grip, but it kind of keeps those straight edges, so you kind of know where you're at and you kind of have that feeling. I just don't know about kind of where things are at with this Knipex, but everything outside of that I'm really liking, and I think they really did a good job. So I'm hoping to see more from Knipex in terms of utility knives. I will definitely check out to see if I can find more Knipex knives, and comment down below, because if you like the Knipex or have an idea, I'd love to hear it, and I could check out that knife, or, you know, who knows, a few more may pop up on my radar, and then I'll get them in the queue for a review. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the Knipex review. It's been fun to do, and I definitely like exploring these more unique utility knives with you. So any ideas, comment down below. But that's it, guys. Please like, please subscribe, and as always, we'll talk to you on the next video.